the truth hurts. Sometimes there's actually a stream instead of it repeating. Thanks for all the compliments and so forth. Karen's going to stream with me today as much as she can. She's not getting Archer at school, so maybe she can stream the whole time. I'll still be eating so that you're less confused. So we have an unusual pairing this round. Fabiano, who normally would be, the one to watch for winning the tournament, is white against Ray Robson, who is the one to watch. So we have the player who's tied for first, Ray, who hasn't lost a game this event, black against Fabiano, the highest rated player in the event, although maybe not when the event is over, who has white and just lost 2 games in a row. Yeah, I didn't think Fabi would be half a point out of clear last, but maybe thinking's not my strong suit. Now, the other funny pairing is Lenderman, Jeffrey Shong, because Lenderman's tied for first, and Jeffrey Shong is in clear last, which is very surprising. He has 2 out of 6. First of all, it's surprising that 2 out of 6 is clear last. If there's a 12-player tournament, 2 out of 6 is never clear last, ever. But somehow it is. So very, very, very suspicious. I've never been so suspicious. So basically everybody has the same score in the tournament. And also, Bruzon has 50%. After 6 rounds, there's usually 3 or 4 players with 50%. He's the only one. That's also very strange. And he has 6 draws. So at least he did it the right way. Now, in the women folk event, we have Carissa Yip, my pre-tournament favorite, versus Anna Zatonsky, who is having really bad tournament, and she's tied for last, which is surprising. Derm Dave subscribed, thank you. Then we have Tatev, who's having a bad tournament, is white against Sova, who's in first place. Also surprising. And Irina and Ishwaran are both half a point behind. They're actually tied with a plus score, and they're playing each other. Ashrita, I think, hasn't lost a game yet, which is confusing to me.
Hey, people are complaining about the board color. Maybe we should change it. It is a little bright.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Yeah.
You say people, you mean one person?
Well, I was kind of thinking more than one. Yeah, it's trying to learn. But why don't you put it on...
I didn't do it.
I did it, but I, put it on brown.
What? But I'm eating.
That's always safe. If you give me the mouse, I can do it. Yeah, we'll change it. Ben likes to change the color a lot. I personally always just like to pick one board that I like and stick with it. But I would say let's just go back to it. Let's see, try brown.
Brown? Is that your color?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. All right. All right.
Now, how about that? That seems soothing. I like that color. Hey, P. Schneider.
So Nazi's tied for second, and she's playing Megan Lee, who's tied for last. Sabina's playing Tokyo Genova. Tokyo Genova's tied for second also, I believe. And Sharevich is playing Talia. Talia has white. And she played D4, so I guess the round started. So there you go. All right, let's have a look at some of the matchups in the championship. Bruzon has 6 draws out of 6, and he's white against Sevian. Sevian winning yesterday against Fabi. Lenderman, Jeffrey Shong, we talked about. Burke is white against Wesley. Burke lost a very long endgame to Sam Shankland yesterday, and Wesley, I think, has 1 win and 5 draws. Very Wesley-esque. Schwiertz versus Shankland. Neither one of them is having the tournament of their life, but if you win a couple of games, you can fight for first. And Sam's trying to play a Berlin, but, trying is the first step to failure. And Dominguez, Nareditsky, obviously, Nareditsky, the pre-tournament favorite, almost guaranteed to win the event, but not having a great tournament so far. Shocking, right, Ken?
I mean, isn't he playing expected?
Yeah, I'm kidding.
Oh,
Yeah,
I know.
right. I mean, the people on the internet are like, yay. P.S. Schneider or P. Schneider.
Yay, P. Schneider.
Thanks for, the sub, and thanks for the Worston chest for gifting a sub, and so forth. Okay, Dominguez is confused already at move 2. He's like, what do I play here? And the key matchup, I think, Fabiano versus Ray. Ray likes to play this line that only he plays against he plays bishop c5 and moves his a pawn, and yeah. And then usually he loses. So Fabiano decided this is, he could play anything with white, and he decided this is the variation that he doesn't think Ray plays the right line against. And I agree. I think the line that Ray usually plays against the English is not the best. But he's thinking on move 3. So d5 is the main move. c6 is possible. Knight c6. Bishop b4 is very common. But Ray usually plays a bishop c5 variation. So he knows this is what Fabi has prepared. So he's thinking, can I out-prepare the preparer? And the only way to know that is to ask the IRS. Where's Danya? Oh, right here. Okay, Danya already losing on move 3. No, I'm kidding. He's playing Karen's favorite defense with black, the Janusz Schliemann, right? Yeah, f5. That's all Karen plays. Now, in my opinion, this is actually sound, but a lot of people think it's not. And obviously, Danya did a lot of prep, and Dominguez, who I'm sure has looked at this at least, a few times, probably hasn't looked at it in the last week. So he's going to have to remember what he prepared, and Danya is going to be booked to the teeth. So we'll see if the opening is a winner for Daniel. And also, when I played in the World Cities Team Championship in the UAE many years ago, one of my teammates was Robert Hungaski, and he likes to play this with black. Very few GMs and super GMs will play f5, but it happens. White can play d4, d3, or knight c3, and Daniel has to be ready for all of them. Knight c3 was played, and this is one of the sharper lines if Daniel goes into the sharper line, which is takes, here, takes, knight takes. You could play queen d5 or queen g5, but I think theory prefers queen g5 now. I think so. I looked at this with a student of mine about 15 years ago. He was about 2200. And I remember he played the wrong one. He played the one that was considered bad. Now, the engine likes white here, but as Run DMC would say, this position is...
tricky.
That's right. Very tricky. Anyway, that's the main line.
Hayes fan.
What's that?
I was just saying Hayes fan.
Oh, yeah. So I don't know obviously, Danya knows the theory. He's just wondering what Dominguez knows. And so forth. Okay, Ray didn't play bishop c5, play bishop b4. That's the more common move. And now Fabi, in his bag of tricks, played a very unusual move, e4. And I don't know if Ray probably doesn't even know that move because Ray doesn't usually play that. And what's that? So, Now, what's funny is if this pawn is here and the knight is on f3, knight c6, I know that line pretty well. But yeah, with the knight here and the knight here and the pawn here, I don't know that line. What's funny is the engine says bishop c5 is reasonable since white has ceded the d4 square. If he plays this, that would be awesome. I mean, it would because he played here and then he goes here. I like that. I don't know if it's good. I just like it. Okay, so this is weird because Sam has played the Berlin before. So Schwiert's thinking here is weird. He's just thinking, should I play knight c3, d3, or castles? And he's also thinking, am I going to try my hardest for a win, or am I satisfied with the draw? Sam obviously satisfied with the draw since he's playing the Berlin. and he has the black pieces. Yeah, if you want to win, you play d3 here. And if you want to try to win an even position, you castle. And if you have some weird prep in the 4 knights, then you play here and hope that you know your prep better than your opponent does. But yeah, that's the most testing move because it avoids that end game that we're going to see if he castles. We shall return, and then we have Ruy Lopez. Okay, d3. So Burke doesn't want to play that end game. And okay, Wesley is one of the world's leading authorities on this position, and black is pretty much equal. I don't play bishop c5 myself because it's too good. I play d6 first, which is played occasionally. But all these Italians and Ruy Lopez's, they look alike, right? That's why Betty White didn't know if it was Italian or some kind of Spanish. Did you get any of that?
I wasn't even listening. I was trying to understand the game.
Good mom. Yeah.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm. You missed my Betty White reference.
Oh. I was trying to understand.
For reasons I don't understand, the other commentators on the other channels, they rarely mention Betty White when doing U.S. Championship analysis. No, that was a Family Guy reference when Peter wrote an erotic book on tape as read by Betty White. She read the book, and then Peter's writing was, that girl was totally hot. She was Italian or some kind of Spanish. But Betty White read it, so it's funny. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Betty Page, what about Betty Davis? What? You're too young to understand. Yeah. Anyway, Peter and Carter published the book. The wife's dad, he's a billionaire. Mm-hmm. He got it published, and they were making a lot of money off of it. But then a guy was driving his car, and he heard the erotica, and he got too excited, so he crashed his car. Then he sued them, so they lost all their money. Truth hurts. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. If Spencer was here, he would agree profusely and correct any little mistakes I made in the description.
He was in the chat earlier. Mm-hmm. Hey, Spencer. I don't know if he's still there.
Go, Spencer, but stay there. All right. So obviously Wesley is still in preparation since he has more time than he started with. And Wesley has a lot of preparation in the Berlin, in these lines in particular, because he has a lot of games, even with Magnus. Magnus versus Wesley, they have this position with both sides. God damn. So pretty great prep from Wesley, and nobody agrees with me, as you can see. But when I'm playing one of the top players in the world, which I'm not, and I'm playing one of the best prepared players in the world, which I'm not going into their prep. Sorry. So Burke is like, oh yeah, I'll go into Wesley's prep because I'm good. Yeah, fine. Good going. Okay. And then this looks familiar. No, this isn't familiar. This is Lenderman versus Jeffrey Shang. Jeffrey ensued the Nimzo Indian and played d5, Queen's Gambit exchange variation. Bishop d3, Queen c2, put it in h. Boring. All right, and white is clearly slightly better, very slightly. I would have white in this position. When I'm white in the QGD, my knight's almost always here, 95% of the time. Higher rated players like to put their knight on e2, Botvinnik style, which was more important in the 1950s than Gangnam style. That wasn't important at all. Yeah. And what white wants to do typically is play f3, e4, e5, resigns. The black resigns. And get that big center. Occasionally, we can trade this bishop for either this or this, and then we can play knife f5. But I don't play this way. I like my knight on f3. This also makes bishop g4 silly, which it's not silly after this, because, putting pressure on the knight. Now that doesn't, does Vishwa nothing. So this will be a slow positional maneuvering game. And typically, Lenderman plays very quickly, which I agree with. So, Lenderman tied for first with Ray and Jeffrey in last place. Ridiculous. All right, here we have a reverse Benoni. What was that, Karen?
Well, Spencer said this is a Rosen trap. If white castles, there's some bishop takes on H2.
Bishop H2. No castling. The biggest trap was, I think it was white. It was black's turn, but yeah. Bruzon versus Sevian. Boring. Okay, they played a reversed Benoni. This is a favorite of what retired British grandmaster?
Retired.
Mm-hmm.
British.
He would play the Benoni with white and black.
I don't know who's retired.
Your favorite GM, David Norwood.
Oh.
You heard of him?
I've heard of him, but
okay.
I'm not going to ever get that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, David Norwood would always play both sides of the... He'd play the Benoni with white and black. He liked the Benoni. Yeah. That's why he's retired. Because, Benoni's no good. All right, let's go to the women folk. Carissa's trying to sack all her pawns again in the same fashion that she beat Tatev. Now, I had this position in Foxwoods when we played like 3 years ago. 2 years ago? I think it's 3 years ago. I don't know. And my opponent played bishop d7, and I played here, and I know the line bishop here, c4. That's like a line, I've played it with black. I used to play the French defense. So I've played this with black. But my opponent played here, which I wasn't familiar with because, my opening preparation is not so good. So the idea is if you take back, which is the correct move, now white can't play c4 because there's no c pawn. And this is a lot of games. I just didn't know. I figured that was theory, and I figured this wasn't theory. So I played that. Then my opponent started thinking a lot. So then we just played our own game. Okay? And Carissa didn't do any of that. Carissa likes to sacrifice an attack, and Anna likes to think forever, get in time trouble, and then blunder. I don't know if she likes it, but that's her MO. So instead of taking the book move or knight takes d4, the Finegold move, Carissa castled, as she did similarly against Tatev a few rounds ago, where she also left this tension here forever. And then Anna's like, well, I haven't lost on time yet. Let's try to start now. And you can see Carissa has more time than she started with. Yeah, and Anna's never going to move, ever. She might lose on time now on move 7. If she does, you'll be like, how did Ben know that, right? Yeah, Anna doesn't like to move. Yeah, I don't move either, but I don't play in the tournament. So, So Anna's going to get a reasonable position. Then she'll be behind an hour on the clock. And then Carissa's going to out-tactic her. This is my prediction. This is the quintessential youth versus not youth. Zatonsky was playing in the U.S. Women's before Carissa was born. Although not really, but close. Very close. What year is this? 2021? Very close. Maybe. And so forth. Yeah. Anna can transpose with bishop b5. I don't know. It doesn't really transpose into anything because if I take with the knight, that position's never occurred in chess history. So if she takes and takes this, that would sort of transpose into main lines. Carissa's never going to take that. She literally doesn't care about pawns. She cares about attacking the king and playing aggressively and having more time, stacking paper to the ceiling, etc. Now, I'd like to point out on Twitter every single day and on all the other channels and occasionally on mine, everybody's asking, why isn't Jennifer Yu and, well, it wouldn't be isn't if it's and, or Annie Wang playing because, they're pretty good. And the answer is one goes to Harvard and one goes to MIT. So I guess they decided school was more important. Obviously an absurd decision, but what are you going to do? Let's see. So forth. Never move unless it's your turn. Never move. Right. See, Karen has black in this position all day, whether she likes it or not. because she plays the French. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Nemtsova Tatev, a very sharp Sicilian. Okay, she played the Lowenthal Kalashnikov variation. Now, it's only called the Kalashnikov if she has 2 guns, 1 for each of you. But after D6, C4 is explosive. Now, in the Lowenthal, which they're calling it, which is a misnomer, that's A6. Okay, A6, here, here. Queen E7 and Queen F6 are both theory. And after those moves, white can play Queen D1, trade queens, or play Queen C7. All theory. That variation's older than God. And that variation exists. So it's got 2 things over God. But she played the Kalashnikov D6. So this is like Sveshnikov on steroids. Okay, the Sveshnikov would be knight f6, knight c3, e5, knight here, here. This is every game ever played. There's 1 billion games in this position, including many games between Fabiano and Magnus. But e5 is a way to play, which gives white another option. And that option Tatev took by playing c4. Obviously, if the knight is here, it's harder to play c4, especially for Tatev because she's not a grandmaster. I could probably get away with it. I'd play and they'd be like, what? And like, he's a grandmaster. Let him jump over his knight. Okay, so we have sort of a bind, and this actually reminds me, this pawn structure of the game we saw yesterday between Sabina and Crush, which eventually was drawn. Now, black hasn't played knight f6 yet, as in the Sveshnikov. Therefore, sometimes black wants to trade the dark squared bishops because that bishop's not very good. If the knight is here, we can't jump over our knight. Obviously, the d6 pawn is under attack. So these things have to be done delicately. Mm-hmm. What movie? Wizard of Oz.
Hey, did you get any basil rolls?
Right there.
I might eat that real quick. Because I'm hungry, and it's after 2. I haven't really eaten today except for a brownie. So I'm going to go over here. I'll be right back.
The breakfast of champions. Yeah. Hooray! All right. Karen's had enough.
No, I'm hungry. And I'm going to watch from right here. I just don't want
Knight
to be
C3, A6, Knight A3, F5. Another advantage that black has of not playing knight F6 early is playing an early F5, which we often see in the Sveshnikov, but not this early because the black knight is on F6. The important thing is Karen and I are both eating. I remember when Josh Waitzkin was still playing chess for some reason. I think it was in Chicago Open, maybe. He had this position. He played F5 early. I think he was white. I don't know. Anyway, he had either white or black in this position. And I think the end result of this game that Josh played was he quit chess. Yeah, I think that's what happened. Vegan sushi. Delicious.
So F5 is good or not good?
It's the idea right now. Julian Berman subscribed. XM white skin, nothing. Yeah, that's what it should be. Kyrie's the sanest man who ever lived. Except for one thing. I think Kyrie, after he retires, is going to work on Fox News. That's my prediction. Trying to learn keeps doing exclam Josh Waitzkin, but nothing happens. I think we did have a command for that. Maybe. All right. They're writing a sequel to Searching for Bobby Fischer. I'm not sure if they're going to make a movie or not. It's called Searching for Talent. Oh, snap. Gotcha, Waitzkin.
It's not his fault his daddy wrote a book.
Mm-hmm. There should be an article. There should be a match we set up. We could have it here between Waitzkin and Beth Harmon. He never found Bobby Fischer. Yeah. Okay. So following the Finegold rule, always play e takes f5. Bishop d3. Obviously, this bishop's better than this one. This bishop on e7 is shallow and pedantic. That bishop's pretty good. And always retreat. And I guess black is still in her prep since she has more time than she started. And I guess Tatev is out of her prep because her prep's not very good. And, white's slightly better because, 3 pawn islands, weak d5, weak d6. But it's dynamic. The knight on a3, frankly, is ridiculous. That has to come back into the game. And, I'll take white all day. I'd still lose, but I'll take white. This isn't very popular at the top level, but it's interesting. Gain some time on the clock. All right, now we have a game Crush versus Istritha. And that was a bishop f4, QGD, c5. Could also play knight bd7. I take you, you take me. All right. And in this position, white can castle queenside, or white can play a3. And after queen a5, knight... I guess she knows this better than I do since I don't play the bishop f4 QGD. I guess rook d1 is the main move. Because you want to stop black from playing d4 if possible. Okay, rook e8. And the players are playing quickly, so this is just theory. And then e5. I've seen this, but I don't play either side of it. So I literally don't remember what theory is. I figuratively do. Knight d4. Yeah, this is just all theory. And frankly, this is again one of the very similar to when you play Caruana or so, not to go into their 25 moves of prep. If I was Crush and I'm playing, a teenager, I'm going to play something really boring and squeeze based on my years of experience, many years. And instead, they're going into a sharp theoretical battle, which Irina is going to show that she knows more than Istritha. It's 50-50. Either she knows more or she doesn't. And if I'm Crush, I'm going to just try to win the game by playing chess. I'm a better chess player, not see who has a better memory for this theoretical line. Okay, queen b1. And this is just all been played a lot of times. Players are playing instantly. The engine agrees with these moves. Knight e4. Yeah, Crush isn't worried at all because she prepared all of this. It says white can do anything here, but she played this. Obviously her prep. This bishop's hanging, this knight's hanging, b4 wins a piece, etc. And she played b4. Queen always retreat. Always retreat. And in this position, I'm guessing this is the first time in the game that Irina doesn't know the position well because she's thinking a long time. And maybe Astritha, this is the end of her prep because she doesn't have more time than she started with. And the engine says white's slightly better. This knight here is a little funny. This knight here is not funny, but white has two isolated pawns. I mean, I would just say it's equal, but one good thing about this for Crush is she won't get into time trouble. I mean, she still will, but yeah, you don't want to get into time trouble against a young player because they're too good tactically. Anyway, if we go back 2 or 3 moves, there's probably a lot of GM games, And probably this is like where theory ends. And now the players will never move. So yeah, if you want to be a top level player and you're going to play these lines, you got to know tons of theory. So probably, normally, frankly, the U.S. championship players aren't looking at the women's games to see what the latest theoretical wrinkle is. Okay. However, in this instance, I'll bet a lot of the players are looking here to see like what they know compared to what's happening. Because the bishop f4 QGD, a lot of GMs play for both sides, and they know this line, and they're like, what do they know compared to what's happening, and and so forth. So they're probably having a look at this game. Okay, Nazi's playing for the win by playing non-theoretical, weird nonsense. Okay, I agree. That's what she should be doing against Megan Lee. So Megan Lee will have no prep for this because Nazi's just making it up and so forth. Nazi's like, let's just play chess and I'm better than you. Not, let's play 25 moves of theory and you've analyzed it with your coach for a year. Okay, so I agree with, now obviously White's better here, but Nazi literally doesn't care. Yeah. And, whenever you're playing Pakidze, whether you should play a lot of theory or get out of theory quickly, that's a real Sophie's choice, right? You just don't know. Well, all right. Need a player in the tournament named Sophie so I can make more jokes about that movie. Tigers Modern. Yeah. Etc. Delicious. And this is Tokyo Genova versus Sabina Foizor. E3 recommended by Spencer. Now black wants to play D4, so we take. You can take either way or either way. She took with the pawn. And obviously Sabina's not well prepped on this variation because she's thinking forever in every move like I would. And then D4. Otherwise, black's probably going to play D4. All right, so we're probably going to see an isolated queen pawn position. These pawns will be traded. Oh, or we won't. Sabina's like, I don't want an isolated queen pawn. I'm going to get the hanging pawns. All right. Yeah. B6 is a little bit unusual because the bishop has this diagonal. So giving it another diagonal is sort of wasteful because, black hasn't developed these pieces yet. So it's a sort of a waste of time to avoid the IQP position, which I really usually don't avoid. Yeah. Etc. Yeah, too slow. So I already prefer white. And this is Talia's white against Sharevich. Another bishop f4 QGD. Yeah, normally I don't like this square for the knight in this variation. I don't think that's the best move. Put it in H and then bishop D6. So white is clearly slightly better because when we trade these bishops, this bishop is nice and this bishop doesn't really have a good home. It has passive homes, but not aggressive homes. Let's see, should I make that joke? Nah. Okay. I mean, I should make the joke, but yeah. And so forth. So I prefer white. And as per usual, Sharevich is playing very, very, very quickly. I'm guessing her prep for this tournament was to play quickly. That's good prep. That was my prep for the Kings versus Queens Chess 960 event in St. Louis in 2011. It was game 25, delay 5. So my prep was play quickly. That worked out very well. And so forth. That's right. Somebody pointed out I'm stronger than Arena because I picked her up over, my shoulder and she can't pick me up. So that makes me stronger. Maybe it just makes me bigger. All right. And here we have the boring world of Niels Bohr. Very solid, slow, positional game. So Fabi did everything right, which so far this tournament he has not done. He got out of theory immediately. He got a really boring position with no tactics, and he has a time advantage. This is the three things you want against Ray. Ray's really good at tactics. Ray's really good at his prep. And Ray's weakness is he has no time on his clock. So White's not better, but this is more of a Fabi position than a Ray position. Fortunately for Fabi, he's not playing well this tournament, and Ray is. Yum, yum, yum. Delicious. Knight d7. At some point, he wants to play f5. You know, if the bishop wasn't here, I would say he wants to play knight c5 to e6. But with the bishop there, that's harder to do. Controlling d4 some more. Next, yours. So next. Okay, knight f6. Yeah, I don't know this variation as much as I know d5. I think knight f6 is safer. This might be what Hungaski plays with black. Now you can see by the time situation, Danya knows this position, and Dominguez is not as familiar since he's used all of his time. Queen e2, bishop e7, two bishops with an extra pawn. What else? All right, so Danya's down a pawn. He has the two bishops. He's sort of at the end of his prep. And Dominguez has been at the end of his prep for a while, I guess. And black has the open E and F files, two bishops. White doesn't have any weaknesses. So, I'll take white. But, black has active chances. He wants to attack Dominguez to get him out of his, his comfort zone, because Dominguez likes to squeeze and be slightly better. He doesn't want a lot of stuff going on. Not with Nareditsky. So, Danya, there's a reasonable chance he'll castle queenside this game, and then he can push his pawns. He can put his rooks on f8 and e8, and his king, and he can play c5 and attack this way. So, Dominguez has a battle, and if Dominguez can figure it out and outplay his opponent, which was his plan before the game, well, he's already a pawn up. So, yeah, but black has good compensation for a pawn. Typical Schliemann kind of stuff. I'm surprised the Schliemann's not more popular, because I think it's okay. Mm-hmm. What's prep? That's right. You are from France. Good, good. Merci for the, for what you said. To ma savior, mon coeur, or something like that. Whatever is funny. Because of the great compliment I got from the Frenchman, we'll do the rest of the commentary in French. Ok, dans cette position, c'est bon pour noir, le deux fou, and Perrier c'est fou. So, it's good to have the fou. And c'est pas bon pour blanc, terrible, sacré bleu, and sacré rouge. All right, that was my French commentary, and nobody understood it, especially people who speak French. They were like, well, what language is that? Yeah, and in France, a term, a saying, an idiom you guys don't know, which you need to learn, is frankly, terrible. Terrible. Okay. It's like Terrible's Casino in Vegas. Right, sweetie? Yeah. Terrible. That's right. Omelette du fromage is correct. Yeah, very beautiful. Yeah. Champs-Élysées. Oui. Yeah. Well, j'ai habité en Belgique pour 4 ans, but that was before you were born. So, je regrette, mais je forget.
Hey, can you pass these paper towels?
Bien sûr. Ma bonne fille. Très bon. Oui?
Oui.
Delicious. Finish off my nonsense. How was the basil roll?
It was real good.
You were on a roll?
What did I miss?
So Danya sacked a pawn, and he has the two bishops, and he has the what else? And look at that time advantage Danya has. He's definitely going to win the U.S. championship. Maybe not this year. I like the way when I make a joke and I throw in some English word, they try to correct me by telling me the correct French. That's not funny. Like I say, je regrette, mais je forget, because that's funny. Mm-hmm. And they say, no, je regrette, mais j'oublie. Yeah, I know that. That's not funny. It's funny. For some reason, Luc Winans, the Belgian GM, he liked to say, of course, my horse. I don't know why he liked to say that.
It rhymes.
Right, so I would say, bien sûr, mon cheval. Yeah. Also good. My French is from 30 years ago, and I pasted it together from sugar packets, so I don't know.
I know the tiniest little bit of French.
You speak good. And so forth. All right, let's go to another game. All right, they played the main line of the Berlin. This is a starting position of 10,000 GM games. H3 is one of them who's now.
Is it always true that if somebody's playing, if they're playing the Berlin, they're trying to draw?
Not always.
Not always, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know much about the opening.
Okay, so Shanklin sacrifices a pawn because it's prep. And then, White's pieces are here. So, it's the same as the Nareditsky game. He sacked a pawn, and Dominguez isn't developed at all. Black sacrificed a pawn here, and White's not developed at all. This is all preparation, obviously. You don't want to cede the file to Black, and you don't want to take this pawn on a rig D1 check. So rig D2. And after rig D2, Sam is having a huge think, which surprises me because rig D2, according to the engine, is by far the best move. So if Shanklin is blitzing me here, his opponent plays the best move, and then he thinks forever. Je n'ai compris. C'est pas possible. Oui? No?
Oui.
Yeah.
I can say oui.
Yeah. So I don't get it. There's nothing wrong with Black's position. I'm just surprised that Sam's out of prep sacrificing a pawn like that. I've never seen this pawn sacrifice. I've never seen this line. But obviously the players are familiar with it since, it's move 15. Okay, he played king e6 relatively quickly, attacking this pawn. So basically Black's position is perfect. I can't do anything better for Black. Perfect. But he's down a pawn. That's the only non-perfect, And then White's position is frankly ridiculous. So therefore, equal. That's how much a pawn is worth. Ridiculous versus, That wee was very sweet. Yeah. Best wee ever. In French, if you want to say yes, you say oui, oui. You got to be yanking me. That's ridiculous. Anyway, I'll be back in a minute. I got to go take a wicked yes. Family Guy. All right, next game. Yours. So next. D4. God damn. Thanks, Kayari? Kobe. Thanks for the sub and the Kobe. Frankly, okay, now, this D4 reminds me of what? This position.
I don't know.
This is the game I just played in the senior tournament, the senior club.
Oh, I didn't even see that game.
Yeah, I'll show you.
Okay.
Okay. So I was playing a game in the senior club, which was, I guess, recorded, so you'll see it later, against, somebody old because it's a senior club. And this position I played here, this guy's estimated rating is, I don't know, negative 500. I don't know. What do you think?
Probably 900. 8 to 900.
Yeah.
Maybe 600.
Now, if we're getting closer. Okay, he played here. That reminded me of that game.
Okay.
And then he played here. Must have thought he was Joe. Now, did I play knight c3 or knight f3? Good question. I think I played here. Now, he made a slight inaccuracy. Here, and then I went here.
He did something similar. Okay.
Then I was explaining to the elderly members of our club that double pawns aren't very good, so let's get triple pawns. And then the guy's like, nope, can't, I was like, I couldn't fool him. Okay, so I castled here, 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 here. Man, what did he play here? That is the question. Whether it's his nobler in the mind. I don't know what he played here. Usually I have some idea. Yeah, well, I took this and this, but I don't remember what he did. I will go here because I don't remember what he did. And then he took, I checked, I played here and mate. Now, if he played h6, then I'm right. I'm not sure he played h6. But, see, he played 98.5. Yeah, that's the other game. Not this one.
I was about to say.
Anyway, I'm not sure if h6 was played, but if it was, this is the game. That's the game I played right before streaming, so I felt confident. Right? Yeah. All right. And somehow the game didn't go like that. So Burke played d4, giving me fond memories of, yesteryear, like an hour ago. And then, let's see, he took, c takes, always retreat, e5, knight e4, take, queen c2. And the engine really hates white's position. It says white's doing really badly. I would assume this is equal, but normally this bishop is here in similar positions, and this knight is here. I mean, there's a lot of pressure on this pawn. This bishop has some good squares. We have the b file for our rook. And likely, over the next 4 moves, Burke might win a pawn. And what's funny is, if Burke loses quickly, which is possible due to the evaluation, what is he going to wear?
What's he going to wear?
Yeah. If he loses quickly.
I don't know.
Delicious.
I was looking for Birkenstock, some kind of play on Birkenstock fish. I don't know.
Just burka. A burka.
Oh, a burka.
Yeah.
You made that joke already.
All right. And he got it. Sure.
I forgot it.
Okay. So the engine really likes bishop f5, and it likes bishop g4 a little. So let's see what the engine has in mind if I take a pawn for nothing. It says rook e6. Okay, I'm not going to go here because I'm not going to line up against that. I guess I'm going to go here because I don't see the square to go to. Then rook g6. And it says with this bishop coming here, and this knight here, and the bishop here, and the rook here, and these pieces can't move, and this queen is off sides, black has a big advantage. Even though black's down a pawn, black can play c5 and open this for the bishop, and so forth. I mean, I like black here, but if I was playing a tournament game, I wouldn't know if I had more than enough compensation. So when the engine's down a pawn and says black is almost winning, that means he's got more than enough compensation. Yeah, even this is almost a threat. I mean, and I don't know what white does against that. So yeah, this is really good for black. So that means the engine doesn't take the pawn on c6 after this, but then why did you go here? If you're not going to take the pawn, this move makes no sense. Because after here, you're like, damn, why is my queen there? But your queen's there to take a free pawn, and the engine says black's initiative is too strong. So it doesn't like taking a doubled weak pawn and then making 500 queen moves while these pieces aren't developed. And Wesley's thinking here, should I play knight takes knight and defend my pawn? Should I play the line Ben said? He's actually thinking, should I play the line Ben said? Weird. Or bishop g4. Also aggressive. Now, bishop g4, the idea is to have lots of trades. And this position's about equal. I mean, I think Wesley wants to win. He's playing somebody who just lost a game where he was better. Wesley's already better, and his opponent's the lowest rated player in the tournament. Come on, Wesley. Stop playing for a draw every game, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure why you like him so much.
Burke's great.
So.
Well, I mean, you asked me.
Well, I asked you why you like him.
You said so, like insulting me.
Oh.
Yeah. I can't follow my own jokes sometimes, but they're still funny. What did I do indicating I like so? I do like so, but I'm making fun of him like he draws every game. Like, you gotta play for a win.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, I'm not sure. Did he always play that way? When he's playing for draws? Mm-hmm. You like so a lot, Squirrel Guts?
You know, so isn't very evil. He's just, very religious.
He seems like a nice
Usually
person.
That's both, but not in this case.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is Lenderman Shang. White is clearly slightly better. And it's, the boring world of Niels Bohr. I prefer this pawn structure for white because this bishop's good and this one isn't. And, white has more possibilities of doing something like f3, e4, or even playing crazy like Fox News, or getting a knife to f5, and so on. I must admit I'm not a fan of bishop h4 because I think white wants to trade these bishops often, but I guess he didn't. Bishop d7 is sort of like a nothing move, like I don't know what to do. So I think it's just much better for white. And you can see from Jeffrey's time usage, he don't know what he's doing. Lenderman always plays super fast. Crazy. All right, and we got our Baloney here. Very Benoni-esque. b4. And then Sevin ignores the pawn. If you win this pawn, you lose this pawn. And he likes his center, so he plays the move rook to e8. And this position is fine for both sides. If I was white, I would want to go here and take this knight, and then play knight d2 and have control of the white squares and, advance and solidify my queen side. And black says, I have a nice center, my bishop has a nice square, etc. I've had black in these positions often, but with colors reversed when my opponent's playing a regular Benoni. And my pawn is always here very early, so I can avoid white getting rid of this bishop and then controlling the white squares here. But I think white's doing quite well here. I like the way Bruzon is playing. Let's see. Cautious, Kobe. Karen's hot at 50. God damn.
I wish I was 50.
She was 55 years ago. Oh, snap.
Thank you, though.
She can't be 55.
I know. God damn.
No.
I don't want to think about that.
I'll give you something to think about.
No.
How old are you going to be next month? Oh, snap. Truth hurts.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. You don't want to be 55. Next month you won't. There you go.
Problem solved.
Problem solved. Yeah. I'm always catching up to Karen in age, then she always one-ups me. In September, I'm like, ha-ha, getting closer. Then she's like, no, November. Yeah. That's why Wake Me Up When September Ends and November Rain. That explains all of that. Yeah. Let's see. Etc. Taking notes. Oh, I can tickle Karen, too.
No,
she likes that.
No tickling.
She likes that.
Yeah, I'll punch.
You're not going to punch. Not on stream you won't.
I have punched.
On stream you've punched?
No.
Okay. Get punched later. Yeah. Pay extra for that. All right. Now what do? I'll go to the women folk. All right. So Carissa's at it again. This is very similar to a game with Tatev. And Zatonsky's like, rawr. Now Tatev never did that. She waited like 30 moves. Okay. But here, now you can see, look at the time situation. Anna never moves, and Carissa just moves and plays aggressive and literally doesn't care. Yeah. Put it in H. Yeah. Now, in my opinion, which nobody cares about, this is very bad for Anna. The position's not bad. That Carissa's done this before. This is going to happen. And Anna's like, what do I do? I mean, she did this like 4 rounds ago against Tatev. She played the same pawn sacrifice. Thanks for the $3. Thanks, Costa. Yay. That cost you $3. So basically, Carissa's playing the exact same way she played against Tatev, and Anna's like, okay, give me 10 minutes to move. Like, figure out what to do before the game if Carissa plays this way, or don't play this way. So we're going to get to an equalish kind of position where White has compensation for a pawn, Carissa's going to have an hour, and Anna's going to have 5 minutes. And it'll be moved like 22. And then, she's going to get run over like, something. Like, I guess Kobe. I don't know. Yeah. Etc.
How old is Carissa again?
19 and or 20 or 18.
Did she go to college anywhere?
Nobody knows. Yeah, I think she goes to like one of those Ivy League schools. I think she goes to Harvard.
She found some time to get over the championship.
Right. Well, she didn't make the ridiculous decision that the other women made. Ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Yeah. When I was a serious chess player and I was playing in round robins like this, 1 game a day, I prepared like 4 to 6 hours for every game, like the night before and the morning of. A lot of these players do hours and hours of prep before the event, like Wesley and Fabi. So when Carissa plays the thing that she's going to play, and Anna's thinking forever and ever and ever, c'est ridicule. Me? Mm-hmm. Crab. Yip's 18. Yep.
Well, she might still be in high school then.
Etc. Okay. This game is very strategical. Not Tatev's strong suit. B3 I like. Yeah, now black has a chance to play d5. So maybe Tatev should have played knight e3 here. Or bishop g5. You want to take this knight so you can control the center here. So b3 might be a little slow. b3, I could play b5. I could play d5. Thanks, Challenger 38. Okay, she played queen e8. I'm not a fan of that move. I mean, you want to go here, but you can't go here. You don't want to go here and trade queens. And I don't really want to go here either because it's knight g5. So I don't like this move. Now Tatev can get back on track with knight e3. The reason she didn't play knight e3 last move is she's worried about knight d4. She wants to chop that off. She doesn't want knight d4 and it's there forever. But I literally don't care about that. And I figuratively don't care. So I care about my squares. Mine. Yep, that's the German way of playing. Mine squares. So I'm not a big fan of that move. I'm not a big fan of that move. You know what else I'm not a big fan of? Papa John's. Thanks, Challenger.